Hello and welcome to the English Matura Express, the express to your success. My name is Maria and today we have 2 demonstration exams for you. Hello and welcome back. Today we have 2 demonstration exams for you about the topic globalization and international trade. So let's start with the first one. The first one is about winners and losers. So, introduction, it's always the same. And then task 1, the monologue, is about globalization. So what's the situation? Being an ambitious student of business management, you have been invited to your former secondary school to inform pupils about globalization and international trade. So you go to a school and you talk to them. Good. So you talk about how to define globalization. So what is globalization? The pros and cons of globalization and the winners and the losers of globalization. In the second part of your exam, you talk about free trade. There you have a text. It's about the big issue. Free trade brings wealth, but not everyone feels the benefit. So it's again some sort of, okay, what are the pros and cons of it? Who benefits? Who doesn't? And yeah, here's the article. Have a look at it. It's a really good article and prepare it. And then you should be ready for the exam. I mean, of course, there is the follow-up discussion. Again, there are some questions the examination board will ask you, but also you have the time and space to ask some questions. Yeah, so think about them, the questions. Good. So, Chris, are you ready?
Yes, I'm super ready.
That's great.
So I hope everyone.
Are we?
Now, yes, everyone should be able to hear me. Do we have? Okay. A lot of viewers. Yeah, I'm super ready actually.
That's great. Are we in the picture? Yeah.
We're super in the picture.
I think
actually,
so too.
I'm more in the picture than you, but yeah.
I have a bigger head, but I think it's not because of the camera. It's my head.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Biology.
Yeah. Good. So
I'm gonna grab this pen.
Do that. And yeah, can you please introduce yourself? So of course, now let's start with the beginning. So with the introduction. So first you have to introduce yourself, but I think you know that. But just wait and see.
Okay.
Can you please introduce yourself briefly?
Yes, my name is John. I've worked in a factory.
What kind of factory?
It was a wood factory where they built houses actually.
Okay.
So all the houses are prepared there. So all the parts for a house. And then the customer can order a house and we deliver the house and also we set up the house.
So why do you want to do the A-levels today?
Because I've decided, so I did an apprenticeship obviously.
Okay.
There. I decided it was time to make a change.
So now you want to study, or what are your plans?
Study, maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll just go travel the world and then decide afterwards. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm really uncertain.
So what about your hobbies? So you like traveling, I guess?
Yes, traveling a lot. A lot of traveling.
That's great.
And I like playing the mandolin.
I'm sorry. That's great.
Yes.
That's great. Cool. Okay, so now let's move on to part 1 of your exam.
Could you turn the computer a little bit so that I can
Of
see?
course. Of course.
Okay, yeah, like this.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
But I need to write. But
Okay, yeah, just right. It's okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. Good. So you may deliver your speech now.
Yes, of course. Dear ladies and gentlemen, today we're gonna talk about globalization and international trade. At first, I want to talk about a definition of globalization, Then we're gonna outline the pros and cons of globalization, and the last point of my presentation is the winners and the losers of globalization. Okay, so globalization can be defined as, imagine a product that was only available in China, for example, a few years ago. Now, suddenly, it is available in Austria and everywhere around the world. That's basically globalization. So to have a product, a service, and so to have the ability to access it wherever you are. Okay, so the pros and cons. Obviously, there are a lot of pros, but there are a lot of cons too. So let's start with the pros, since I'm a very positive person, actually. So the pros, obviously, you can get everything actually 24/7. Basically, you can order it, so to say, 24/7. You can get everything you want. You can get goods from the USA. You can get goods from China. Taxation is something different. If you have to pay rates on the goods, especially if you import something from the US to Austria, you have to pay rates, obviously. So to speak, if there is a service, a foreign service that hasn't been available to you in the past, it can be done easily. So, for example, although it is in Europe, I had my laptop repaired in Germany in a very fast way, and that, of course, would also be able if you live in the US, for example. An example for a con of globalization. Obviously, the goods that are kind of circulating around the globe have to be transported with different means. In this case, it is mostly transported by plane, ship, and train. And then, of course, trucks in Central Europe, where they deliver the goods to a central storage or something similar. So there is a lot of pollution going on, and another con is that, of course, local shops kind of diminish and maybe have to close their shops because of reasons. The winners and the losers of globalizations, I've actually touched upon this now. So let's continue with the losers, of course, can be local businesses that try to stay in the market, which means, of course, they're hardly trying to be attractive to basically attract the consumer, the customer and consumer too, of course, with different kinds of offers to be able to compete with large online businesses or online shops and so on. Yeah, and the winners, of course, are those that offer goods that you can order 24/7 and are delivered to you the same week you ordered it, for example. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
I've seen we have some comments.
Are the Waster World winners or losers? Western. I'm sorry, Lisi. Lisi Müller has a comment, and she asked.
What did she ask?
Are the Western world winners or losers?
I'd say winners, of course, yeah.
Yeah,
What do you think?
well, I think it's difficult, basically, to answer it.
Maybe it's more complex than that, but I think what we can feel is it's very positive for us because of globalization, products are very cheap. We can all have our mobile phones very cheap because they are produced with cheap labor somewhere else. So I think that's very positive for us.
Yeah,
But
of course. But I'm just thinking about Asia, especially China, where they are building a hotspot of, for them, for the Chinese economy. So from an economical standpoint, they can also be seen as some sort of winners.
that's right.
Especially when we think about the environment. Of course, the people that are working and so on, as you have
They are
mentioned,
kind of the loser.
that's the loser side.
Yeah, but you mean like so only thinking about economy and about business, then it's probably Asia and so China and so on.
Yeah.
But
Taiwan.
concerning our lifestyle and the way we live, I think we
Some sort of winners, maybe, or
Yeah.
the Western world. We
That's
also have a
difficult.
question, the same from Lisi Müller. Is globalization responsible for outsourcing? Not long ago, we dealt with this topic in class. Does this topic come to the A-levels, Matura? Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Outsourcing, I think, is a big topic. I think every big and even smaller companies do it nowadays. Even in Europe, of course. For example, Poland is a popular place to outsource.
That's right. Yeah.
Of course, India, you know the stereotype, but there is a lot of call centers in India, and especially when they're outsourced. So bigger companies focus on outsourcing since they can save a lot of money.
Yeah, they don't have to pay them a lot. So.
And maybe look into I think there are documentaries out there. Maybe there are a lot of companies that claim to be, for example, from Liechtenstein.
Yeah, but they actually
That's only
not.
the post address of them, so they have tax benefits.
Yeah, that's something that happens.
That's something that
even
I think
with Austrian companies. I mean, I don't want to blame anyone, but I think the Lutz and so on, so that they also have their main, not store, but production area somewhere else, so not in Austria.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah, so that's something.
That's
something. I think that's a consequence of globalization because you can do that now, and so that's what people do to save money.
You're welcome, Lisi. When you have another question or other questions, so plural.
Please ask.
Please ask. Yeah.
Otherwise, we just keep going with the dialogue part, and then if you have any questions, just ask, and I'll keep a look on that.
Yes.
Okay, so task 2 is about free trade. Free trade.
Free trade, yes.
So free trade brings wealth, but not everyone feels the benefit. What is free trade?
Yeah. So basically, free trade is trade that offers the import and export. So, for example, we're in Austria. We're exporting steel to Germany, or let's think bigger, to the US, so it makes more sense because of the European Union. We're exporting to the US, and basically free trade tells us that there are no tariffs, so no additional taxation for the customer. So in the European Union, there is basically there is free trade. There is a contract the states have decided upon. So there is free trade. So if
Okay.
Austria ships to Germany, no additional fees. And the same goes, so vice versa. If we import from Germany, there is no.
So that sounds quite positive. So
Yeah.
who benefits from it, and are there some people who doesn't benefit from it?
Yeah,
you
so
say?
if we think about the country of origin,
Mm-hmm.
so we have Austria again, there is the steel production, and we export something.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, speaking of our economy, it is good.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if we import cheaper, I don't know, beef from
Canada. No.
Canada, yeah.
Sorry.
That actually harms local farmers, of course, because we and the environment, of course, we import cheaper goods, but we have those goods in our country,
Mm-hmm.
but just because they're more expensive, we tend to rather import them. Yeah.
So you'd say like local businesses and the environment, of course, they don't benefit from free trade.
Especially if you, maybe for you, the viewers that are watching, good example is the US. They actually wanted to stop foreign businesses to being able to export to the US, especially with higher tariffs, so that it's not that attractive anymore.
Okay. So imagine you can you can think of your own form of trade. So what do you think would be the best form of trade? So I mean, free trade sounds pretty good for the economy of a country, but what would be the best option? Or can you think of a good, less harmful option?
Yes, I can.
That's great.
I think the best option would be that we have some sort of a system that allows us to import goods that we don't, or that we are not able to produce in our country, to import it to a reasonable price.
Okay.
I
see.
Exporting products is also okay to some sort of amount. I think the topic is really difficult, especially if you think about a balance between those. So I think a country shouldn't be too protectionist about their goods, but you shouldn't export all of them.
Yeah, maybe don't exploit the resources you have in a country.
Should some sort of a balance. So if you think about that's a scale, it should be balanced.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Good.
You're welcome. So you need this.
Yeah. So let's just quickly talk about that. Good job. Maybe in the beginning he opened the monologue with ladies and gentlemen, but he is talking to students, so maybe you could also go for hey students or whatever. Good. How to define globalization? I really like that he started off with an example, because globalization it's very complex and there are loads of definitions out there. But he started with an example with the product that you can get now, and I think that's pretty good, because now we see that he really understood the concept of globalization, and that's good, because learning a definition by heart. So yeah, you could do that of course for the exam, but I think that's more a real life example and situation. Good. The pros and cons of globalization, he talked about 24/7, so that you can reach things all the time. They are available all the time. And he also talked he talked about the transportation, so and that it's bad for the environment, and winners and losers, local businesses, and again we have the environment. And also in the dialogue, we talked about benefits, and I think it was also quite good that he had an idea. I mean, of course, you don't have to be an economy expert. It's an A level. It's not a business master's or whatever. But he was able to think of a form which would be good for a country, and I think that's really good if you can do that, because that again gives us as examiner and the examination board the feeling that you understood the topic and you can talk about it, because it's all about talking, being able to talk about things. That's what you should be able to do with your A levels. Yeah, good. Thank you, Chris, for that. So now I'd say, do we have any more questions?
We have some sort of question. Yeah, it's a question. What's your opinion on the working conditions in developing countries, and do you think that they are born into a life of hardship and deserve a life full of dignity? And Lisi,
It's a good question.
Do they suffer from free trade?
I mean, they probably do.
Yeah, some sort of, I think, and of course they deserve a life full of dignity.
Of course they do, yeah.
And unfortunately, we talk about different places, especially India. People are born in some born in a life of hardship. But there's also in Austria, so if you're, it's a very interesting topic and
very difficult to answer. Maybe our next demonstration exam will help you a little bit, because there is also an article about that. It's about fair trade, so that there is a solution to that. But I mean, it's so hard because I think money is just so important, and as long as money is so important to people, there will always be like people who get exploited for their labor force, and that's really bad. And we can be really lucky to be born in Austria, but it's also not their fault to be born some. So you can't decide that. So
without their hard work, our life would not be the same.
That's right, yeah. I mean, our products would be more expensive. I think our lifestyle would be completely different, and I think that's something we have to think of if we buy things very cheap and are happy about that. There is also a dark side to it.
Yeah.
So stop buying things. No, sorry.
Make your t-shirts by yourselves.
Yeah.
No, there are other possibilities, of course.
And other options, yeah. But I hope it changes. But yeah.
So true, yes. Unfortunately. Okay, so thanks again, Lisi, for your input. Very interesting thoughts you have here and questions. So I think that's good for the oral exam, so that you already have.
Yeah, it shows us that you have a lot of knowledge about that, and that you also that you are able to think about this topic deeply. And that's, I mean, we can't really give you answers to it because we are no business experts. We just English experts, not really. But yeah. You're completely right, yeah.
Yes.
I think there is.
Thanks again for your statement here. So
thank you.
I think we have to start by our own. Yes.
Good.
Of course.
So now let's have a look at the second demonstration exam. Can you just
Oh,
that I
I'm
can
sorry.
show
Did
to
I?
them.
There it is.
Yeah. So it's about fair trade, as I've already told you. So you are the manager of a well-known supermarket chain in Austria, I don't know, Empreis, and you try to convince your head buyer Spar to enlarge the number of fair trade products in your assortment. I think you all know what fair trade products are. And you want to have more of them in your shop. So how does fair trade work? What role do consumers play? And what are the positive impacts of fair trade? So these are the main points you should focus on. And then task 2 is about child labor. So Lizzie, maybe you're interested in this article is about child labor is never okay, but for multinationals it's an outrage. So it's even worse. And in this text it's about tobacco. So children who work on tobacco fields, which is even more worse. Yeah. Good. So quite interesting article. It's called Child Labor, Tobacco Fields, Multinationals, Life Chances Destroyed. So you can find it quite easily. It's on The Guardian. So have a look at that. Maybe it helps you a little bit or it gives you some answers. But now it's time for you to give us some answers. Chris?
Yes, I'm
Here
here
you are
again.
So let's skip the
But
introduction
I'm a
part
well-known
and
supermarket chain
yeah,
now.
you are a manager.
I'm a supermarket chain. Okay. Sorry. Okay.
What's so funny about that?
No, I just read the wrong part of it.
Okay.
I read I'm a well-known supermarket.
You are a
chain.
supermarket chain.
Yes. So I'm not a well-known supermarket chain. I'm a manager of a well-known supermarket chain in Austria. Dear ladies and gentlemen, today we're gonna talk about fair trade. So at first I'm gonna we have another comment, but I'm gonna continue and then we're gonna talk about it. How fair trade works, what fair trade is, what I can't read it actually. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
What role consumers play and the positive impacts of fair trade. So basically fair trade focuses on, of course, products. It is a certificate where consumers but also the buyers, so grocery stores, supermarkets, can or can be certain that the product that is produced, so for example produced, harvested in this case, bananas for example, we can be sure that those bananas are harvested with fair working conditions and also that there are fair wages. So the money not only goes to the big fruit exporter, it also goes to the farmers. So there's a percentage, but they get a fair wage, the farmers. And basically it's all about the people that are harvesting the products, because normally those people are quite poor and don't get that much money for their work. So you have fair trade bananas, you have fair trade cotton, you have fair trade coffee, you have basically everything fair trade, and you should, if you buy something, buy fair trade. Yes. Okay, so what role consumers play in this case? It's your decision to make in the supermarket, and you should just look out for the label. And if you're not sure, ask somebody in the grocery store to tell you if it's fair trade or not. So think about people, the people that harvest the products, the people that work hard to get your so that you can get your banana and your coffee. Think about that. Maybe you have to pay a €1, additional €1, but then you can make sure it is fair trade. Okay, yeah. So watch out for the label and then visit the website and so on. The positive impacts of fair trade, basically, I've already outlined, but so you have the wage aspect. Normally, I think there is also not only the wage of the farmer, it's also about everyone's wage, that it's like a some sort of balance. So, and yeah, making fair trade. With this statement, I want to thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have another comment.
We have another. Is this a Matura situation? Yes, it is. Fair trade is without a question a great movement into a balanced and more equal world. Farmers get fairly paid and have the possibility to enable their children access to education. Yes, that's very important. So
that's a good positive impact. Yeah. Education, yeah.
That's one thing I missed. So I'm definitely a proponent of it, but the exorbitant prices are an obstacle.
Yeah, but I think it's not
but
that
it's
expensive.
not that expensive. I always buy fair trade bananas.
Yeah, and I think
And
they
of
even
course they're a
taste
little
better.
bit,
I mean, maybe I'm just making that up in my mind, but I think they taste better. I also like to go for organic food, but it's just.
So.
But okay, yeah, it is more expensive.
I haven't gotten poor because of it, so. Yeah, of course it sums
right,
up,
yeah.
But maybe one has to, I don't know, reduce other goods because of it. Yeah.
But thanks again for your thoughts.
Yes.
You seem quite well prepared for your A levels. So when maybe in February, probably you'll do your A levels in February. Probably. Yeah.
I'm talking about clothes. Oh yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah, they're really expensive. Yeah.
The what?
The clothes.
The clothes, yeah. Not the pretty.
Yeah, they're. Yeah, they're expensive.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's right. So maybe just go for secondhand or vintage. I think that's also quite in fashion nowadays to do that. There are many vintage stores out there, so that's also
just
something.
turn your T-shirt around. Okay. Yeah.
What is that called?
It's cool.
It's cool.
Yes. What's cool?
Maybe vintage.
Old school. Or school Matura. I guess, yeah. So.
It's not on the way. Okay.
No.
Okay. That's good.
But it's also good for school, of course, our topics.
Yeah, you probably also. They are kind of the same topics. Yeah. I mean, it's B2 level, so there is a range of topics to choose from, and they
overlap.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's move on to the dialogue part, which is about child labor. And of course, it's not a real exam situation. I mean, it's a real exam, but the situation, it's a stream, and we talk in between. So of course, that's not what a real exam. That is not what a real exam looks like. But yeah,
some sort of.
Yeah. So the structure is the same. We have an introduction, we have the monologue, then the dialogue. So that's kind of the same, even in your school, I guess. But the situation in general, I mean.
Yes.
You don't sit in front of a green. I mean, now it's blue, but screen and yeah. But I think you can.
Green, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually green, but it looks blue there. It's quite interesting. Yeah, fun fact.
Technology.
Technology is great. But now that leads us to the next topic, which is child labor.
Yes.
So, Why do companies use child labor? I mean, we know it's not bad for children.
Because they normally don't pay them, so they're just cheap workforces, and normally children are quite fast. And if you're thinking about small things, they can do the things really good because they have small hands. And it actually, child labor developed out of the Industrial Revolution.
That's right, yeah. So what are the results of child labor?
Were used for chimney sweepers, actually.
Yeah, but not only. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So what are the results? I mean, if they have small hands and if they can do that, so it's not that bad, isn't it? Or why is child labor? I know it's bad, but
children,
what are the results of it?
Children shouldn't work at this age.
Why not?
And they get exploited, actually. And they only learn from a very early stage in their lives to work in a factory where you have terrible working conditions. And so the poor are just exploited, basically. Yeah.
And what are some bad effects of that? I mean, you said there are bad working conditions, so...
Yeah, of course, their health is at risk,
Yeah.
of course. So if they're working in a factory, there is not much place for education, so no school. Which, of course, if you think about the process of growing up, there is nothing else they can do other than work at the same place or a different place, but
it's just work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So in the text it's about the tobacco industry. What's problematic about that? I mean, we talked about working conditions and it's bad for their health. Do you think that tobacco industry, what's so bad about that?
Yeah, basically in the cigarettes we smoke, not I, but I'm a non-smoker, but we find, or if we were to examine a cigarette, you can find a lot of toxic substances in cigarettes. So if someone has to work with those substances, of course, that equals health problems.
Yeah, that's right. So we also have the health problems, but here we also have an unhealthy product, so a toxic product, and that's even worse, I'd say, yeah. So how to tackle the problem of child labor? Can we get rid of it? Or are there any solutions in sight for that?
Oh, yeah. That's very difficult, I think, but a first step would be to not produce in such countries where child labor is still an issue. It is always difficult to tell a country stop doing child labor because you don't have a say, basically. But that, of course, has also to do with the customers in a country, because, of course, if you don't stop producing in a country where it's cheap, and you have to produce where it's more expensive, the products also gets more expensive. So is the customer
vicious circle, yeah,
able to pay, or not able, does the customer want to pay more for the product, but it's produced with fair working conditions? That's the question.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think we have a question again.
We have a question again. Yeah. Child labor is cheap, and many families can't afford supporting their families and are therefore forced to work under miserable conditions.
That's right, yeah.
That is so a really important issue. Individuals can make a contribution by supporting local stores.
That's right.
Yes.
So we talked about that's what I think we also talked about. So why is there child labor? Of course, when there is a poor family, they need every support and every money they can get. And then, of course, if there is a child in the family who is able to work, then, of course, that's good for them because they get money. But it shouldn't be the case in the first place, probably. I mean, they shouldn't be in such a bad situation that a child should really go to work. But that's something very difficult for us to influence because, as you've already mentioned, we don't really have a say in that. But as what we could do is, of course, don't buy these products and don't support companies who produce their products in countries where there is child labor. And I think it's able to look that up. I think you can see where things are produced. I mean, you just have to look in
The label, yes.
the label. They have to tell where it is produced. So yeah, you're completely right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So thanks again for your statements. Your actually quite good statements and questions. And keep on doing the good work.
Mm-hmm. It's great. Good. But I think that's about it for today.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think we have to talk about fair trade again because we talked about that now, and I don't have a lot of notes because we had a really nice discussion, and I also really enjoyed the discussion with you, Lisi. So that's what's more important here. Are there any questions about the topic? I mean, of course, it's a very complex topic, and we didn't answer all of it, of course, and I think that's also difficult to do. Yeah. But if there are no further questions, I think we leave you for today because it's getting very late and we are hungry. Just kidding. No, I'm not kidding. And yeah, I'm really hungry. Yeah. So thank you. Thanks for the good work. Thank you, Chris, for doing a great job. And we see us hopefully on Wednesday, next Wednesday at 7-ish. And yeah, thank you. No? Nice work today? That was you. Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you and have a nice evening.